Welcome to your next Flip lesson. This is all about time signature, and this goes with the homework page in packet 3-2. Your objective for this lesson is students will be able to interpret and use a given time signature. You'll find out what time signature is in just a second. So here's our actual definition, and this can be sometimes difficult to understand, but it says a time signature is a set of two numbers that indicate how music is organized rhythmically. So this set of two numbers is always two numbers on top of each other. We oftentimes see 4/4 time. We might see it in 3/4 time. Maybe there's an 8 on the bottom instead, 3/8 time. The one thing I want you to know about this, though, is that there is not a line between these, right? This is a fraction. That's not a time signature. These over here are time signatures. They don't have a line in between them. What does the top number mean? The top number is actually, for us, the most important because it tells us how many beats are in one measure of music. It tells us how many beats go in one measure of music. So that's super important for us. You'll find out why in just a minute. The bottom number tells us which type of note receives one beat. So you have learned all about different types of notes like quarter notes, half notes, eighth notes. And that number on the bottom is going to tell us which one of those notes gets one beat. For example, if the bottom number is a 4, then the quarter note is equal to one beat. So the 4 on the bottom is the most common type of time signature. And when that 4 is on the bottom, we know that a quarter note will be equal to one beat. Another example, if the bottom number is an 8, then the eighth note will receive one beat. So in this case, an eighth note would receive one beat. We won't do a lot of practice with eighth notes for right now. Oh, hey, look, I forgot a space right there. But just know that that number on the bottom can change, and that means that different types of notes will receive a beat. Let's jump into some examples, because this is the way that it's easiest for us to understand. The first thing that we do is we always try to interpret what our time signature means. So we're going to take a look at that first number on the top. This means that we will have 3 beats per measure. So you should write that. You don't have to write yours giant like mine, but I'm finger painting here on my iPad. So circle the 3 and then write up above that means 3 beats per measure. This 4 on the bottom is important to us because that means that the quarter note will receive one beat. So I always do this by drawing just a quarter note and then putting it equal to 1. So you should do the same. Next, I'm going to go through this example note by note, and I'm going to write how many beats each note receives. So for example, I'm looking at the first note right here. It looks like a quarter note to me, and we just said that quarter note equals one beat. So underneath it, I'm going to write a 1. Next, I see that these are all eighth notes, so each of them is going to get half of a beat. So you should write these numbers underneath yours as well. That's half, half, half. Great. The next one is a quarter note as well, so I'm going to draw 1 underneath to show that it's one beat. The next one is a dotted quarter note. I know that dotted quarter notes get 1.5 beats. If you've forgotten this information, you can also pull out packet 2-2. All the notes that you took about this are in there. So this is 1.5 beats, so I'm going to put a 1.5 underneath it. The next one, it's kind of confusing because it's upside down, but it is also an eighth note, so it also gets 1/2. The next note is a quarter note. It gets 1 as well. Next, I see a top hat that tells me that it's a half rest, so I know that it's going to get 2 beats. And then I have another quarter note, gets 1. An eighth note gets a half. Eighth note gets a half. And the last one is a quarter note, it gets 1. So now that I've determined how many beats each of these notes gets, I'm going to go back through. I'm going to change colors to blue here, and I'm going to make sure that I put my bar lines in the correct place. So this is an exercise called drawing the bar lines. It's just it shows me that you know how many beats go in a measure. So I'm going to add up. Remember, I'm looking for 3 beats per measure, so I'm going to add up until I get to 3, and then I'm going to draw my bar line. So I've got, let's see here, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. So after that 4th eighth note right there, I'm going to go ahead and draw my bar line. Make sure it's a vertical line Mine looks really crappy. But make sure it's a vertical line on the staff. It goes from the top line to the bottom line. Let's see if I could do that a little bit better. Nope. iPad says no. Okay, let's try this again. I'm ready now. Okay, so I'm going to go from the top line to the bottom line. Yours should not go over quite like mine does. Man, this is hard. There, that's a good bar line. Okay, next I'm going to do the same thing. So I need to make sure that I have 3 beats per measure. So I've got 1 plus 1.5 is 2.5 plus another half is 3. Draw my bar line. 1 plus 2 is 3. Draw my bar line. Well, gosh darn it. I give up. Then the last measure here, I've got 1 plus a half is 1.5, plus another half is 2, plus 1 is 3. So I double check to make sure that that last measure has 3, and I'm good to go. So in this example, I drew 3 bar lines. I made sure that every single measure had 3 beats. Next, I'm going to do the same thing in this example. First thing, I recognize that this 4 on top means 4 beats per measure. This 4 on the bottom tells me that the quarter note is going to equal 1 beat. I'm going to go through again just to make sure that I know how many beats each note gets. Quarter note gets 1, quarter note gets 1, half note gets 2, half note gets 2, 1, 1, 1, half note 2, quarter notes 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, half note gets 2, half note gets 2, then I have a whole note and that receives 4. Now I'm ready to draw my bar lines. I'm just doing simple addition here, making sure that every bar line adds up to be 4 beats, or every measure adds up to be 4 beats. So I've got 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 2 is 4, so my bar line goes right here. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, right here. That should be vertical, not curvy. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 1 is 4. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. And my last note fills that whole measure all on its own. So in this case, I've got 5 bar lines that I drew. I made sure that every single measure had 4 beats. Next one. Same idea here. I've got 2 beats per measure. Beats per measure. I'm getting worse instead of better, y'all. Here we go. This bottom number tells me that the quarter note equals 1 beat. I go through now and I write my numbers under each note. This is going to be 1. This is a half, half, 1, half, half, 1, half, 1. Goodness, now I can't even talk. 1 half. 1 half. This is 2 because it's a half note. This is 2 because it's a half note. This squiggly line is a quarter rest, so it gets 1. Quarter note gets 1. Half note gets 2. Now it's time to draw my bar lines. Remember, in this case, I'm trying to add up to 2 for each measure. I've got 1, 1.5, 2. Draw a bar line. 1, 1.5, 2. Draw a bar line. 1, 2. Draw a bar line. 1, 1.5, 2, draw a bar line. Half note gets a whole measure to itself because it's worth 2. Half note gets an entire measure to itself. Quarter, quarter, that's 1 plus 1 is 2. And then this last measure is filled by just the half note. Take a look at the back in 4/4 time. 4 on the top means 4 beats per measure. 4 on the bottom means quarter note equals 1. I'm going to go through and make sure I know how many beats each note is worth. That's 1, 1, half, half. That's an 8th rest there, so that also gets half a beat. 8th note gets half a beat. Quarter note gets 1. Quarter rest gets 1. Half note gets 2. 8th note gets half, 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 half. Quarter note gets 1. Quarter rest gets 1. 8th note gets a half. 8th rest gets a half. Quarter note gets 1, half note gets 2. Now I go back through, I'm ready to draw my bar lines. I'm looking for 4 beats per measure. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus a half, 2.5, plus a half, 3.5, plus a half. Oh no, I messed that up. Let's add again. If you run into problems like this, just go back and restart. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2.5, 3. 3.5, 4. So after this eighth note, I get a bar line. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 2 is 4, bar line. Half, 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 half. So all those together equal 2, plus 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, bar line. Half plus half is 1, plus 1 is 2, plus 2 is 4. So I have 3 bar lines in this example. That's it for this flipped lesson. I know that was super fast, but as long as you've copied down everything that I have done, you should be good to go. That's it. Love you, bye. See you later.